All right. It says we're live. Welcome back, everybody. Epic Fish, welcome, my friend. Welcome. All right, so what should we work on today is the question. Once again, I don't really have a plan. So I'm just gonna kind of wing it. Maybe write something fun. See what I got on here. Looks like I got a horn of some sort. Ah, yeah, horns. Maybe I'll come up with something fun real quick. In the meantime, yeah, so this is just a hangout as usual. Q&A and hangout while I just kind of doodle around, have some fun. Maybe I'll show you guys the project I've been working on. Not composing, because I've been showing you guys the piece I'm working with. I got another commission that I might be getting assigned pretty soon too, which will be fun. In the negotiation phase of that. But yeah, I don't really have a plan today. I'll show you guys what I've been working on for the website, the class I'm building. But in the meantime, pop your questions in the comments. I'd be happy to address them, tackle any ideas you guys have. In the meantime, let's see if I can just speed write something for horns real quick. So want to do something majestic? Let's do. We'll have these for our first chords. Sorry about that. Blew my eardrums out. There we go. Hopefully I didn't blow your eardrums out as well. Let's do something super simple. We'll do an absolute progression. Because those are super simple. Absolute progressions, in case you haven't been watching on Instagram or any of the shorts I've been sharing, absolute progressions are progressions that focus on just 2 chords. So let me see. Why was it so loud? Ah, that's why. I don't know what I was doing with this. But we'll just do that. An absolute progression. Absolute progressions equal chord progressions. A chord progression built around just 2 chords. And sometimes a cadence, right? So here I decided if I wanted more of an adventurous feel, C major to D major, 2 major chords separated by a major second in the roots are really good. So I'll take that, I will copy and paste it, I will copy and paste it. And as I do this, I will build different inversions to kind of tell a bit of a story with it. So we got so this should be actually down. I don't know why that went up. French horns can't really go this high. So let's, well, not in this roll. Harmonically speaking, we'd want to try and keep the French horns a little lower than middle C. Maybe going a bit higher, but staying relatively simple. Epic Fish. I just wrote a very long question YouTube deleted when the translation started. I guess I'll write it again. I'm sorry, that sucks. I have no idea what YouTube does for the comments or questions. But at the moment, it looks like it's just you and me, my friend. So pop it. Yeah, what have you got? We'll chat. We'll do like one-on-one. Let's do. Let's do that a little more voice leading. We'll do. All right, so that works well. I think that's good enough. Let's build a melody on top of this. say we'll do sentence structure is what we'll use for our melody. Take that, repeat it. We'll do, then we need to come up with a new idea. We'll do. All right, so the library can't quite go that high, and that's understandable. This is pretty obscenely high for a French horn, so we're gonna have to make some adjustments. But we'll say that this is we'll do that. So generally speaking, for melodies, the range for a French horn you want to stick to is about this G below middle C to about that C right there. That's about as high as you'll get. So let's move this, let's transpose this entire thing. So it's E major and F sharp major now. All right, so I've got a decent idea. Let's add. Let's come up with some interesting ideas here. And we'll say we need to repeat this because it's sentence structure. At this point, I'm just having a bit of fun. Let's see here. So yeah, if you're just joining us, welcome. All I'm doing is I've loaded up this thing. I've got a French horn patch. I'm just having some fun doodling around, coming up with a stupid little idea. Robert Ortiz, any thoughts on how to write a military march? Ah, good question. That's actually a genre I've never written before. But military marches, some things I could say, it's not my specialty, but something I could recommend. Military march. Most marches are in 2/2 time or 4/4 time. For a military march, the first thing that comes to mind is you're gonna want a snare drum. An important military snare drum is gonna play important repetitive rhythmic layer. Depending on the genre or like the age, you could also add a piccolo solo above everything. That would give a huge kind of feel to it. And yeah, the big part of the march is really just hitting that like beat 1 and beat 3 in 4/4 time. Or just beats 1 and 2 in 2/2 time. That constant, you gotta think about what the march was for. It was gonna help keep the soldiers marching at a specific cadence to make sure that they arrived where they were supposed to arrive on foot. So that's what I would recommend for, I mean, it's pretty lame advice, I think. Not very detailed. But yeah, so here's some more advice. I've never written a military march. So how do I create my templates? All right, because this is something that's very important. If you want to do film composing, if you want to do game composing or any kind of media composing, or really any composing in general, if you want to be able to write music, you need to have a method for rapidly learning different genres. That's just the job. Unless you are a very specialized composer who can name your price at whatever genre you want, you've got to be able to adapt to various styles. So, I've had to do this so many times. I had to learn how to write folk music. I had to learn how to write big band. I had to learn how to write for choir, how to write for pipe organ. That was a lot of fun, having to learn how the pipe organ works. I've had to learn how to write with synths, all kinds of different genres that I've had to work with. I've had to learn how to write mariachi music, which that was kind of cool because my abuelita was part of a mariachi when she was younger. But my step to how I create my templates. First things first, I identify 3 pieces that I think fit the genre perfectly. All right? And whether they fit the genre perfectly or whether they fit the specific style I want. I'm going to say genre/style. All right. They should evoke as similar of a vibe as possible. So even within genres, even within styles, there's variety, right? So you want to pick 3 songs or 3 pieces that sound as identical to the vibe you are trying to learn as possible. All right? Then, one at a time, load the audio into a DAW. All right, so for example, I don't think I have any, let's see here, audio files. Ah, right there. All right, so here's an audio file that I used for an Instagram reel. It's from one of the first plays I ever scored. And I would listen to this. I would add a marker track. Let's do all this. Let's hide this. So I would have a marker track. I'd have the time on, and I would listen to it. And every time I feel like a new section starts, I would add a new marker point. And there's no right or wrong answer. It's just trusting your instincts. That's right. I'm stupid. Just because they're invisible doesn't mean they're muted. So the melody repeated there. Actually, no, I think it's right here. All right, sounds like a new section started about there. New section, it sounds like. Sounds like a new one here. We're at point of arrival. Sounded like a new one, started about round there. And now we are on to a whole nother variation of the same theme. So the idea is like you go through, trust your instincts. This isn't about finding official spots, but don't do you? And use a marker track to break it into chunks. All right. Again, this isn't about trying to identify official spots. It's about just finding natural sections that feel natural to you. Then, as you study each section. All right. Try to answer questions like, what's the tempo? Can you tap your foot and find a tempo? What's the time signature? All right. Can you do that? If you have really good ears, which I do not have good ears, but if you have good ears, it's like, what chords do you hear? What key is it in? Now, again, this isn't an exhaustive list. These aren't all things that you need to listen to. If I had said if there is one that you really, really need to identify, it's this next question. This is the question you want to answer. All right. How many different layers can you hear? What are they? And what instruments are playing them? So, for example, if we were to listen right here to this section randomly. Sounds like there's a bass line, bum. And then there's a arpeggio, bum, 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 bum. And then there's, in the right hand, there's another arpeggio, there's another ostinato going on. And a melody in the right hands. So it's all piano, but you can hear all these different layers going on. Obviously, I'm cheating a little bit because I composed this piece. It's been years since I wrote this. It's being performed in this by the incredibly talented Dan Keplinger. I sure as heck can't play this. I am not a talented performer. He has his doctorate in piano performances and studies. He's a good friend of mine. And so anytime I write a piano piece, I send it to Dan and ask if it's playable. He plays it for me. He's like, yep, playable. But you identify the layers. You identify everything you can. Try to try to break it down as much as you can to identify as much information as you can, and then repeat the process for all 3 samples. All right? Once you have, look for similarities. These similarities will form your template. All right? In fact, if you want a very in-depth version of this, I have a series on YouTube where I broke down, I think, like 5 different pieces from the Studio Ghibli films by Joe Hisaishi. I broke them down into like rhythmic identities, harmonic tools, melodic tools, as much as I possibly could. And then I looked for the similarities, because that's all a template is. That's all a genre is. That's all a style is, are similarities between different pieces that unify them as being related to each other. So if you want an example of this in much more detail, look up tabletop composer templates. Where is it? It's gonna pop up here eventually. Let's see. Studying film music? I'm trying to remember what the name of the video was. But I have a right here. The easiest way to study film music. No sheet music necessary. This video right here goes significantly more in depth. This is a breakdown of this entire process and an explanation of how you can use it to create your own templates. So that is hopefully a little bit more helpful than my super lame breakdown of just the bare minimum of what I do know about writing marches. Hopefully that's helpful, Roberto. If not, let me know. See if I can help you with something else. The Monster Explorers. Hey, man. I can't stay. I wish I could. Just wanted to say hi. Hope your stream goes well. I'll see you sometime, too. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate that. I really like that. Thank you. Yeah, I'm enjoying myself so far, so it's going pretty well. Epic Fish. Your method of fast sketching song really helped me unstuck from infinitely rewriting that isn't written yet. Good. Wonderful. I'm so happy that anytime something I share is helpful, it makes me very, very happy. Because a lot of these methods are stuff that I developed over years and years of study and practice and application in professional settings. And it's something that I have been blessed to work with over 100 private students across 6 different continents in my career, which is a ridiculous number. I remember having a conversation with the chair of the composition department at the University of Michigan. Incredible man. I love talking with him. Professor Santos, amazing person. And he was looking over my CV. We were talking, and he was shocked. He's like, you've had a ridiculous number of private students. It's one thing for like piano teachers or like trumpet teachers or performance teachers to get lots of private students. Composing tends to be a lot more niche. It's very difficult to find students. So I've been very blessed to have such a high number. And so because of that, I've been able to see a lot of issues, a lot of repeating patterns of issues with students, where a big repeating problem that lots of people tend to have is they tend to discard ideas as being bad before they've even tested them. I actually just had an email with one of my students recently where he sent a piece. I gave him feedback, and he told me, like, sometimes I feel like you just say things are good without, like, when you don't really mean it. I was like, whoa, hold up. Because I told him that I was very proud of the progress. I was like, dude, I didn't say send this out to record labels. I didn't say plaster it all over the internet. What I said is you've made incredible progress, and I stand by it. And I ended up sending this long email talking to the student about, because this is an issue I see so many times. People will take a motif. Like, what is this little idea? I have no idea if this is a good idea. I would have no idea of knowing if this is a good idea because it's not finished. I haven't tried to build a melody out of it. So people who take a motif and try to judge a motif before they turn it into a melody, or people who try taking a melody or half a melody or a sketch and try to judge it against the standards of a full piece, that's like mixing flour and sugar and going, ugh, this is a nasty cake. Well, no, duh, it's not done yet. It's not a cake yet. It's just flour and sugar. You have to finish the process. You have no idea if your ideas are good or not until you see them through, until you finish them. Then, once you have a finished piece, you're like, all right, there's nothing more I can do with this. Then you are free to discard it as a bad idea. But if you are just taking ideas, if you are trying to come up with... I You're like, that's nothing. How do you know? You have no idea. Beethoven's. Bum 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 bum. That's a terrible little idea. No one would listen to that and think that you could do something with it, but he did. He turned it into his 5th symphony, and it comes across in multiple movements. If I could teach you all one thing, it would be to stop judging your music before you finished it. Stop trying to decide if your ideas are good or not. Bad ideas deserve to be finished too, all right? In music, at least. Who cares if your ideas are bad? Just finish them, all right? Because if you keep giving up on ideas because they're bad or they're not good enough and you never finish them, then you don't get any practice finishing ideas. You don't get any practice finishing pieces. And again, I say it over and over and over again with my students, is you have no idea what a good idea is until you try and apply it. You don't know if a motif is good or not until you try to turn it into a melody. And once you've turned it into a couple different melodies, then you can decide, okay, it works as a melody. It works as a melody. So then the next step is this a good melody or not? It's trying to think, okay, what does this portray? Does it need to portray a character? All right, if it's got to portray this character, you have to test the theme. All right, what emotions will your theme need to portray or evoke in this film? Try and evoke each of those emotions. If you can, it's a good melody. If it's not, then no, it's not going to work. Try something else that can evoke all those emotions. I am tripping over myself today. But yeah, so the idea being basically, if I could teach all of you or give you all one skill, it wouldn't be how to write melodies. It wouldn't even be how to do chord progressions. It wouldn't be any of the stuff I usually teach. It would be that intangible ability to stop judging your music before it's finished. Just finish the piece, then you can judge it. Hopefully that makes sense. Epic Fish. So I struggle to compose full pieces. Can you please explain how to use this method on a bigger scale? Ah, wonderful. So yes, how to write a full-length piece. I actually do. So first, I'm going to recommend a few resources. All right. First of which, let me check my bookshelf. My textbook. All right, you boys got to make a living. I have 11 chapters in this book, which you can find on, the ebook version is here on my website. Click this. It's right here. You can find physical copies on Amazon. I'm not going to click on that because I don't feel like showing my address to everybody. You can find a table of contents here. And you'll see in part 2 of the book, chapter 11, the 9 parameters of music, but then working on melodic motifs. How do you write a motif, a short idea, and make it a good one? How do you turn motifs into melodies? How do you combine melodies and harmony? And then larger forms. How do you write full-length pieces of music? How do you write contrasting themes and transitions? Additional melody-like materials. Then, how do you write melodies that portray specific worlds, specific characters, or specific emotions? And then there's the summary stuff. So that's resource number 1. Resource number 2 is my free class on melody writing, which won't go as in-depth as the book, but it's still a fantastic resource. It's a free class, 100% free. If you do sign up, I do ask that you please consider making a donation, because donation for these classes help provide the creation of more classes in the future. But as a quick breakdown, forms and structures in music are just another word for patterns. All right? So forms/structures are the number and order of different themes/melodies used in a piece. So for example, rondo form goes A, B, A, C, A. What does this mean? Each letter is a different melody. So we know A equals the main melody. B equals the secondary melody, just because it comes in second. It's not any less important. It's not any less interesting or complex. It just comes in, it comes second. And C equals the tertiary melody, or like the third melody. Just a fancy word for third. And they appear in the order A, then go to melody B, then go back to melody A, then go to melody C, then go back to melody A. That's it. That's literally all form and structures are. Yeah, there's a little more nuance you can throw in there about growing the energy and shape and stuff. But if you're just getting started, you're trying to learn how to write full-length pieces, this is all it is. This is all forms and structures are. When people talk about writing full-length pieces of music, they get in their own head about repetition, about variation, about what am I supposed to do. This is literally all it is. All right, so sonata form. Some of them get a little bit more complex. Like sonata form has 3 chunks. It has the exposition, the development, and the recapitulation. These are all names for a specific different form. All right, so the exposition usually goes A, A, B, B. Sometimes a transition. And then sometimes it gets repeated. All right, 2 lines, and so this little symbol in sheet music means repeat. So they're almost like bookends. When you see a chunk of music in the middle of 2 signs that look like this, it means play it and then repeat it. All right, so the exposition, A, A, B, B. What does this mean? Well, it means we know that we have the number of themes, a theme A and a theme B, and we have our order. We play theme A. We repeat theme A. If you want, you can have a transition, a couple bars to help transition. Then you have theme B, then you repeat theme B. Then, if you want, you repeat that entire thing. That can easily get you like almost 100 bars of music right then and there. Then the development equals different depending on the composer, all right? Basically, the idea of the development is there are 2 different ways to think about this. One is you get to show off how clever you are by transforming your melodies all different ways. Flipping them upside down, flipping them backwards, doubling them up the tempo, doing all kinds of crazy intelligent things to show off how skilled you are as a composer. In the more romantic era with composers like Tchaikovsky, you would have each theme portrays a specific idea. And you would use those themes almost like a film to tell a story. All right, then the recapitulation is, again, typically something along the lines of AABB. You just repeat the themes again, almost like a bookend. Sometimes it's a little bit different, sometimes there are little differences, but you get the idea. Full-length pieces of music, it literally just comes down to the number and order of different themes and melodies used in a piece. Now, in film music or media composing, so film, video games, TVs, anime, whatever, they follow a different kind of rule called the principle of subordination. All right, fancy little term. All it means is that film music follows the story. So if you're trying to use rondo form, and let's say theme A is the hero's theme, theme B is the villain's theme, it doesn't make sense to follow this pattern unless that matches what's happening on screen. If that matches what's happening in story, it wouldn't make sense to add the villain's theme if the villain has nothing to do with this scene. So media composing, the principle of subordination says, basically, in a nutshell, identify which themes you need to use to support the scene. Then identify which order they need to appear and when each one should start. Or we'll say hit points. Hit points are moments when shifts in the music match some kind of shift on the screen. Usually paired with 1 or more of these, a shift in emotions, a shift in energy, or a change in the plot. All right, so you get information that shifts the direction the story is moving in, kind of thing. So if you're struggling, so let's say you want to build rondo form. All right, we've got an A theme. Actually, I can give an example of it, a sonata form. I feel like I always just bring up the pieces I'm writing. So here's my sketch. This entire 5-minute piece of music, or 6-minute piece of music, is built off just 2 themes. All right, I have theme A. We'll color this. We'll color code it so you can follow along. I have theme A. Theme A returns. Then I have a transition, theme B, theme B. Then theme A returns twice, theme B, theme A, theme B, theme B. And then we'll say, yes, it was theme A again. So then I have theme B, theme B, theme B. And then I have one moment of transition. Oops. Oops, what's going on? And so you can see, this is my exposition. A, transition, B, B. This right here is my development. The development can change every time. I have theme A again, B, A, B, B. And then in the end, I did something a little bit different. My recapitulation, rather than returning to both themes, just highlights the most important theme of this entire piece. Because this piece kind of tells a story. Again, a romantic era. I take a very story-driven approach to my composing. Each of these themes represent a different perspective. And during the development section, they both kind of fight each other to have their perspective heard until one theme, the main theme, comes back at the end, having been changed a little bit. So yeah, this is all, so structure, all to say that musical structure and form is nowhere near as complex as people like to think. It's a very, very simple matter of just the number and order of different themes you're using. Oops, wrong one. Let's not save what I did. Let's go back to this. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Epic Fish. So yeah, I would say if you needed to write an ABA theme, so to apply this, if you're writing rondo form, you know you need 3 melodies. So sketch 1 melody, sketch a second one, sketch a third one. Put them in the order that you need them to be, and then just experiment with it, arranging it, changing it here and there, all right? That's how I would apply that. Robert, glad it was helpful. Thank you. Wonderful. Glad it was helpful. Mark, coming in clutch, giving some good advice for writing marches. All right, that brings me to the end of the comments currently. So let's get back to the little piece I'm sketching. I'm just having some fun doodling around. If you have more questions, pop them in the comments, and I would be happy to address them. What do I want to do with this? I don't like the tritone here. It's very crunchy. I am going to swap this to piano because the horn library is annoying me a little bit. And then we'll swap it. Then we'll arrange it for horns. It sounds a little crunchy, so let's get rid of the G. What if I did G? That still sounds a little crunchy. In fact, let's listen to the rhythms I have so far. Oh, I mean, I'm not done with the rhythms. I still have to come up with... That's right, I got interrupted doing... answering the questions. I like the idea. Let's go up, actually. So let's do. Ooh, what happened? Oh, that's what happened. Let's jump down. Let's move up to D sharp. Let's bring this over here a little bit. And then let's do. And then, obviously, this is sentence structure, so we're going to repeat the same basic idea over here. But this time, what I did is I added a little bit of variation by having this go up to F sharp. Let's drag the chords out of the way. Let's drag this over. Let's make it a little slower, a little more lopsided. Let's try that. Let's see here. Do I want to? Nah, I'll just leave it like that. Let's try. Let's listen to it from the top. This time, let's unmute the chords so we can hear our harmony. I did not unmute them. One more time. Let's see here. Very lackluster ending. I might change that cadence. Let's pop this up here. What if I tried reversing that? That works a bit better, I think. So again, yeah, I have all these systems in place. I have all these things. A lot of the time when I'm doing a live demonstration, I'll rely on just randomness because I know my methods work every single time. That doesn't mean, though, that I don't listen to my ears, that I don't get feedback. Because, yeah, I've done it so many times where I just crank out a melody and I don't listen to any of it. I play it and it works because I understand how melodies work intrinsically. But doesn't mean I'm going to like the melody personally. I have my own taste. I have my own perspectives on what I'd like to hear. And I like the idea of making this a little more of a romantic, heroic type piece. So yeah. Hey, Double Owl. Welcome, my friend. Good, Epic Fish. I'm glad it was helpful. Double Owl, do you have any particular vibe you're trying to go for? Oh yeah, just right there. So yeah, I decided as I was writing this, I like the idea of doing something heroic and a little bit romantic. So to get the heroic elements, I used triplets. Triplets are very heroic sounding. I'm using large leaps between many of my notes. Not a lot of conjunct movement, except for in the contrasting idea. And I'm kind of ending on that higher note. So yeah, I'm going for a bit of a heroic vibe. And then obviously the harmony helps a lot with that too. Two major chords next to each other with roots a major second apart have a very kind of heroic, adventurous quality to them. We'll go to... Let's do, actually... what if I went up to F instead? Okay, I think that works. Let's try giving this to the trumpet. Shall we? Let's see what this sounds like on a trumpet. And I can actually teach you guys some tips for making trumpet libraries sound more realistic. So let's go in here first. What I'm gonna do here. Trumpet solo 1. Let's get the full library, not individual articulations. Let's do trumpet solo 1. And I'll double the track. 1, we'll hear just the vanilla version, and then I'll teach you guys a bunch of cool, fun stuff for making brass libraries sound more realistic. Duplicate. So let's hear this one first. This is the vanilla library. All right, awesome. So, sounds pretty good, actually, coming straight from the box. First thing we can do is play it in ourselves. All right, anytime you play it, it's gonna give it a little more of a realistic performance. So what I do is I take the idea, I mute it, I drop it an octave. I'm going to come in with the metronome. And I'm just going to try my best to play it because I'm a very terrible piano player. There we go. We got that going on. I'm going to delete the original. Not yet, actually, because there are some mistakes I need to fix. I want to be able to compare them. And first, I'm going to show you guys the difference in velocities. So, velocity refers to how fast, or another way you can think of it is how hard you hit each note. So first things you'll notice, based on color, all of these parts that I entered with the pencil tool are uniform. Every single one of them, identical velocity, meaning that every single note was played with the same amount of force. That is impossible for an actual human being to do. And so it'll come off sounding a little kind of robotic. So we're gonna go through first, compare this to make sure we've got the right notes. There was my D. And then we'll glue these together. All right, looks good. So the next issue is that I am a terrible piano player. I am off beat quite a bit. So what I'm going to do is I want to quantize everything. And because I'm so terrible, I'm going to go one bar at a time. Quantizing is a tool that snaps notes to the nearest value. So what you want to do is identify the notes that you've highlighted and find the shortest note value. The shortest note value here is supposed to be an eighth note triplet. And so I'm going to take all of these and I'm going to hit quantize and watch how everything got snapped to the closest value. With the exception of this one, which I want to drag in manually to eighth notes. I'm gonna drag this one over, quantize, bring this one over, bring these, quantize them. Then everything else can just be quantized to an eighth note. And we'll listen to it again. So then I'm gonna bring this one up just a little bit because that was super soft compared to the rest. So then the next thing I can do, there's a lot of stuff I could do, but we're not gonna do an exhaustive breakdown. So the next one I'll do two more, expression and modulation. Expression, this is gonna be unique for brass instruments. Modulation, let's do modulation first because modulation is the most unique for brass instruments. Modulation is a way of controlling volume and timbre. Usually, you would just kind of treat it like a volume almost, because as instruments play louder, they get slightly different timbres. Now, the reason why this is different for brass instruments is because brass instruments are particularly impacted. Watch what happens when I pull up the oscillator, the oscilloscope, and I play middle C. Look at all these overtones, all these different pitches within a pitch that create the timbre of my instrument. Watch what happens as I increase the volume. Nothing much, nothing much. There we go. I just crossed the threshold. Watch. Down here, suddenly there's a point. There's a point in most brass libraries where they become significantly brassier. And what you don't want is to be crossing that threshold multiple times with the mod wheel. So you can hear that. Where it's got a little honky at points. So what I want to do is I want to identify where that point is. So what we'll watch is this little thing. So that's one. That's two. Now the nice thing is Spitfire adds these little, they're very tiny, but these tiny little nubs right here. So if I keep this pretty much within this range, it won't change the dynamics all that much. So I'm going to use my mod wheel. I'm just going to imagine expressively how would I play this, which is a little easier for me because I am a trumpet player. I'm going to use modulation next. We're going to record this in. I'm going to try and keep within that range. There we go. And then I will use expression data to follow the same basic shape, but expression is just volume. There is zero impact on the actual tone. It's literally just kind of like a volume fader. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of follow. Bum da dum da dum 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 da dum da dum dum. Dum da dum da dum da dum da 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 da. Let's see how this sounds, since I penciled that in very sloppily. So that might have been a bit much. Let's bring this down a little bit. I feel like there's a point here where it gets a little bit much. Let's smooth that out. Smooth this out a little bit again. And you have to use your ears. All right, and then let's see. Let's increase the volume of this. Normally I would actually spend some time being a little less subjective. So let's listen to the original one first, just the vanilla out of the box. And then we will compare to the one where we just made a few small tweaks. So obviously very far from being professional level, because it was just done very quickly and sloppily. But you can see how it's more expressive. There's more variability. It's not being shotgunned in your face with just the same velocity layer over and over again. Same modulation, same expression, just very robotic. Here we've added a little more personality, a little more expressivity, because anytime you hear the term expressive in music, expressive refers to three things. Expression, what makes music expressive is the manipulation of volume, timbre, and pitch in real time. So this note, if my keyboard will collaborate with me, on trumpet, not very expressive. I can make it more expressive by manipulating a little bit of the volume and the timbre. I can even give it a bit more personality. You give that one note just a little more personality, just by giving different shapes to the volume. But that's what expressive is. So have you ever heard about whether making a synthesizer expressive, for example? You can make a synth more expressive by adding the option to control things like vibrato. A little bit, that's how you manipulate pitch in real time. You could manipulate the volume, the amp envelope, to make it a little softer or louder in real time. Or improve or change the timbre by manipulating the filters in real time. Stuff like that. All right. Yo, welcome Blank, welcome. Robert Ortiz. I'm writing for an Ultraman series here on YouTube, similar to those Godzilla marches from the movies written by Akita Ifukube. That sounds awesome. Oh yeah, so if you're trying to get the Godzilla sound, I would recommend just doing that kind of, I think we deleted the steps here, but yeah, follow that video I showed you. All right, what else should we talk about? All right, we'll probably call it soon. You guys want to see the project I'm working on? Um, template. Okay, Mark Paquette template. Intro, first strain, second strain, trio, key change, up a fourth. So, nice. Sharing some information on how to write a march. Thank you, Mark. Let me show you guys the class I'm working on. So a lot of you know about my emotions and music class. So the emotions and music class, this is something I've been doing for a long time. This is my method for portraying emotions. It's a method that I've developed over, because I didn't go to school to be a composer. I am predominantly self-taught. I've taken a couple lessons in classes here and there, but I don't have any music degrees or anything like that. I went to school to be a therapist, and I actually have my master's degree in social work, and I was trained to work in a hospital. And so I have a very unique perspective on emotions and music, a very unique understanding compared to a lot of other composers. So I teach a class on how to portray emotions, any emotion that you could possibly want to portray with music. It's got really good reviews. A lot of people really enjoy it. You can read through it. Like Louis says, I've taken many different online courses, but this is the first one I felt like I was given tangible strategies and tools I can walk away with and immediately apply to my own composing process. Thank you, Louis. Heidi says, this course has completely changed how I approach musical storytelling. The curriculum is well-researched and thoughtfully balanced in music theory and psychology. I found the modules straightforward in methodology, easy to incorporate into my workflow. The tools and resources provided immediately help me create more emotionally impactful pieces of music. I can't recommend Stephen or his course enough. Thank you, Heidi. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool reviews. I've had a lot of people who found my model, because it is a model, not templates, but an actual approach about like why music evokes emotions in the first place. And once you understand why music evokes music, you can control it. Now, the cool thing about this class is I'm expanding it. This class is all about portraying emotions in music. And if you sign up for the class, which does come with 3 private lessons. So you enroll, there are payment plans available, but you enroll in the class. Once you own it, it's yours. You don't have to keep paying a subscription or anything. If you enroll in it, you are automatically, or not automatically, I have to go in manually, but you get added to the beta testing for the actual like upgrade, because I am upgrading the class. That's what I want to show you guys. I am upgrading the class and expanding beyond emotions in music to basically approach all aspects of telling stories with music. So character themes, world themes, portraying emotions with music. And so the beta testers are going through this class and giving me feedback. So the module 2 was dropped last month and covers these videos. Composer storytellers, the difference between themes, motifs, and sound palettes, 3 types of themes, 2 types of motifs, roles of a good sound palette, and then module 3. So this basically breaks down the theories of how music is used to tell stories. And just today, I dropped module 3, which is substantially larger and focuses on the foundations. How do you write a strong motif? 3 different approaches for writing melodies. How you create chord progressions. How you harmonize melodies. Full-length pieces of music and film music. How you write melodies that can be layered on top of each other. And tips for applying all of this information. A couple hours worth of material and lessons. Then there's a spot where you can give feedback on it. And you can see where this class is going to expand. Module 4, which I'm currently writing and working on, is basically going to be this entire class. Adapted into, instead of being a full class, into being a single module in this massive class. Then after that, module 5 is all going to be about writing character themes. How do you personalize music to actually portray a character incredibly well, to the point where people are like, wow, that music really brought that character to life. Because this is what I get hired for. I get hired for my ability to tell stories with music. I get hired because directors and playwrights love how perfectly I can capture their characters and their worlds with my music. Then we talk about moral and goal-driven themes, where themes that portray ideas, objectives, journeys. There's going to be a whole module about sound palettes and world building. Then we're going to have an idea of how you map out your themes and how you decide where a theme needs to be used in a film or a story. A module about creating thematic suites. So how do you write a theme, and then how do you turn it into a full-length piece of music that demonstrates that, yes, your theme can do everything it needs to do in the film. This is a method that was popularized by Hans Zimmer and all of the composers that he has had a direct role in mentoring. They will write a character theme and then they will put it through its paces. And then, of course, Module 10 will be a final project reflection. So you can see how massive this entire thing is going to be. I'm working on it, and to gain access and to help beta test, all you have to do is sign up for this class. Because everybody who signs up for this class automatically gets entered into the beta testing. This class is one of my favorite things I've ever done. I've got to meet a lot of really cool people through it. Like I said, it's an online class. There are payment plans available. The price is only $250, considering how much information you get, and it comes with 3 private lessons. One-on-one, and the lessons all get recorded so you can rewatch them as many times as you want. Yeah, so check that out. That's what I've been working on. That's what I've been doing, was like editing these videos and putting them together, making all that business. Yeah, so that concluded, so kind of concluding that a little lamely. You have a sound design video. I do not have a sound design video. I haven't done any stuff on synths. I should. Right now, I am in the process of solidifying my method. So the way I teach is I will solidify a workflow, and a workflow that I can use repeatedly myself. Things like my tools for making melodies. I will solidify this strategy for writing melodies and coming up with chord progressions, and I'll make sure that it's repeatable. I can do it over and over and over again and come up with something new, something cool, something unique every single time. That's what I'm doing with synths. Synths are a little more foreign to me. It's taken me a lot longer to kind of master synthesizers. I would not say that I have mastered them yet, but I am competent. I can create a patch from scratch. And so I am currently working. That is something I envision coming to YouTube within a year. Before this time next year, I plan on doing a series of tutorials, doing my method for sound design, my method for creating synths and doing all that kind of cool stuff. But not yet, but it's coming. Blank, a maximum of how many composers or artists does someone use as a reference for developing their own style? 3? Oh, no, there's no number. There's no number to be applied. So developing your own style, I actually literally just dropped a video on Instagram today. So if you guys have been enjoying the new shorts on YouTube, that is entirely thanks to Instagram. I have not had the time in my schedule to focus on full-length tutorials like I have for years. I'm just very busy at the moment, unfortunately. So what I've been doing is making shorts on Instagram. And then about a week after a short goes on Instagram, it gets uploaded to YouTube. So today's video was how do I find my voice? How do I find my style? That was just dropped this morning. So you can go watch that. Follow me on Instagram if you want to watch that. You're going to want to watch it. It's a good one. And there's just a lot of cool videos on Instagram. But your style is nothing more than your default settings. You already have a style. Your style is constantly developing, and the more you learn, the more you try, the more you explore, the more it develops, because you learn something cool, and then that becomes your new style. So right now, my method for writing harmony is deeply steeped in a branch of music theory known as Neo-Riemannian theory. For the vast majority of my history as a composer, though, I stuck almost strictly with functional harmony, and I'll still use functional harmony quite frequently. I love functional harmony. There's a lot of really cool stuff. But now, my style, I just enjoy the sounds I create with Neo-Riemannian theory. I find it works better with my workflow. And so it's become part of my style. So there isn't really a style. Now, if you're talking about how many... my problem is more like I need to learn how to copy a sound via ear and remake it in a synth. So if you're looking for specific sounds... then yeah, I wouldn't necessarily recommend a certain number of composers or artists. I would recommend a certain number of sounds. Because it doesn't matter if you use one composer or 7 composers. It's the sound you're going for. You want to create the end product of the sound. And that's... So, Blank, I don't know if you were on earlier. But earlier, I actually covered this. Composer, studying film music. Type this into your browser. It's this video right here. The easiest way to study film music, no sheet music necessary. This will break down my method. It's specifically for film music and like composing, not necessarily sound design. but the method still applies to sound design. About finding a certain number, like I typically recommend 3 or 5 because it's not too many, but it's still an odd number so you can have a tiebreaker. Because the idea is you look for similarities between the sounds. You look for similarities between the styles, and you try to figure out, all right, how many similarities do they all share? And then those are the ones that I need to try and include in my sound. So getting a style, like imitating Joe Hisaishi's style for for music, I found like a range of tempos he works with. He typically just works with either 3/4 time or 4/4 time. He uses a lot of extended harmonies, kind of cool chords like that. I found different strategies for reharmonization, different relationships between the melody and the harmonies that he has. But you just look for similarities. You try to identify what is this composer's, what is this sound designer's default setting. So what do they default to? So for example, with a synth, does your producer default to using a single oscillator? Or do they do doubling and detuning? Do they do doubling and transposing? Do they use a sub oscillator? What kind of oscillator configurations do they tend to work with? Do they have specific effects that they tend to work with? Like chorusing or reverb, or maybe they use a bit of delay that they tend to go on. Do they have a specific type of timbre? Is it a very harsh, buzzy timbre, or is it much more of a smooth quality? But just look for similarities in the sounds, try to find as many as you can, and see which ones you need to replicate with yours. That's literally the answer to almost everything in music, is look for patterns. If you want to identify how to do anything in music, you just need to identify the patterns. Hopefully that's helpful. So hopefully that's helpful. I think that brings us to the end of the questions, actually, the end of the chat. I think I've been on for an hour now. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna call it here unless anyone has any additional questions you want to ask. So, one last advertisement. If you would like to support me in the work that I do, if you'd like to be part of making sure that I keep doing these streams and I can keep making these videos and keep putting out all this educational content, please consider grabbing a book from my, oops, knocked over my energy drink. Good thing it was empty. Because I have a problem and I drink them so much. If you want to show support, subscribe to the channel, like the video, like the stream, leave comments. Those 3 things are the 3 free things you can do that do so well. YouTube loves comments, YouTube likes likes, YouTube loves view percentage, how much of a video you watch, and I love to see you share stuff too. Join my Patreon, join my channel. If you'd like to do some cool stuff, if you'd like some cool resources, check out my bookstore. The Composer's Roadmap. This is the free passion project I put together. It's got lots of cool reviews. It's a free book. It's the method I used to teach myself how to compose. How I went from someone who did not write a piece of music until I was 22 to being a professional composer with credits to my name by the age of 26. And now I work full-time as a composer and have for quite a time. You can see lots of cool reviews. I think there was ones, Anton loves it, Brett loves it, lots of cool stuff. Thank you, everybody. So this is a free resource, but if you want to show support, if you want to help me keep paying my bills and keep doing this stuff full time, check out my books. I've got a lot of cool ones. The textbook is probably the most popular, second only to my Portraying Emotions with Music book. And again, I am looking for beta testers. So if you want to help beta test that class I was showing you, sign up for my Emotions and Music class. $250. There are payment plans. Not only do you get access to my Emotions and Music class, not only do you get 3 private lessons, you also get access to the beta testing of the new cinematic storytelling class I'm working on as well. So check it out. Consider signing up for that. And if you'd like, I also do private lessons. I have room in my schedule for, I think, 2 more. There is, like, you can buy a single lesson or you can sign up for, basically the mentorship is you pay a certain amount each month and you get 2 lessons every single month and detailed feedback, and just you get to communicate with me. Very reasonable prices considering the rest of the market. Yeah, awesome. So those are my ads. Those are my kind of sales pitches. Away from each other. Yes, Blank, I think that's a good idea. I think I need to make a template first because the 3 music styles are way different from each other. I think that's a good idea. Focus on your templates, build your styles, and then you can start getting into the nitty-gritty. But thank you very much, my friends. I hope you all had a good time. I enjoyed myself. I will see you all. Oh, one last announcement. coming up in 2 weeks, the last Friday of the month, the 29th. That's the live feedback stream. As a reminder, every single month there are people who are like, oh, when does this happen? It's always the same. Every single time. Last Friday of the month. Free live feedback. Set your calendar for Monday 25th, a day after my birthday, which is the 24th. Your boy's turning 30. Ugh. 25th. That's when I start taking submissions. Music should be less than 4 minutes long. Send it to me as a YouTube link or a SoundCloud link. Have a specific thing you want feedback on and send it to me on Instagram, Discord, or over email. And then I will give free feedback on everyone who submits. All right? Until then, my friends, have a good one. All right? See you next week.